So good afternoon, everybody. So I think my talk will be a bit shorter, but I will take the opportunity of this great assembly to show you some where I'm stuck on this ongoing study, and maybe you would have some insight to help me. What I will talk about today is about dinosaur reproduction and some specific aspects. And as an introduction, I would say that there are many factors that constrain, that control the global distribution of vertebrate diversity on land, and one of them being breeding conditions, favorable breeding conditions, and from an environmental perspective, there are among the factors that constrain this, we have temperature, humidity, food availability, and depending on physiological and ecological capability of these vertebrates, different various strategies have been developed by oviparous animals, reptiles, birds, just to incubate, to successfully breed and have offsprings. Among this example, I will just take this. We have among these various strategies in sauropsids, you have, for example, a buried nest by some lizard, which has the incubation temperature that lies between 24 to 35 degrees, but with an ideal range about 24 to 28 degrees. This also is a strategy developed by some archosaurs, like crocodiles, which create some mound nest with decaying plant matter on top, and that could keep the nest and the eggs incubated within the 28 to 34 degrees range. And among birds, here we have also different kind of strategy. The most common is active brooding with, for example, for chicken, incubation temperature of about 37, 38 degrees. And you have also on the megapod one very specific bird that also use mound nest, like this big one here, and which allows him to have his nest and eggs incubated at about 34 degrees. If we look at the global range of incubation temperature in modern birds, most birds use active brooding and keep their incubation temperature within the 34 to 38 degrees. To extreme, the lowest temperature of incubation being that of the eggs of the emperor penguin, which are very low due to the very extreme climatic condition and the size of the egg, which is quite difficult to incubate at higher temperature. So emperor penguin eggs incubate at around 32 degrees. And the other extreme measure being the Barbary dove, which has eggs incubating up to 41, 42 degrees. So we will focus in this talk on the case of a group of theropod dinosaurs, the oviraptorosaurids theropods, for two reasons. The first one is because we have a good idea of their incubating strategies, because we found some fossil evidence like this fossil you can see here of active brooding. Here you have the skeleton of a Cytipati from Mongolia in position of brooding, and here you have the eggs fossilized. So this is a nice test case, for this estimation, and also because we have we could get a hold in south of China to some specimen, very interesting specimen of eggs, fossilized eggs, with inside, you can see here, I'm a bit confused, there are so many screens. Okay. Actually, see, wow. Yeah. So, sorry.
It's not just.
Yeah, I will focus on the middle one. Okay, so with inside very well preserved embryo bones. So, how do we calculate such temperature? So here is the basics I would like to test. So what we have available is eggshell calcite, okay, here, and bone phosphate, both carrying oxygen and having oxygen isotope composition. For eggshell, the oxygen isotope composition should be a function of the oxygen isotope composition of the mother body fluids and also mother body temperature. This is what was estimated by Robert Eagle using Flint isotope. And when the mother is synthesizing its eggs, it will also transmit lots of water within the fluid, within our fluids that get into the egg water in the yolk, mainly in the yolk, and it should be the oxygen isotope composition of the egg yolk, egg water yolk should be about the same as the delta rating values of mother body water. This is important because after this water and this oxygen content of egg water will be used to build the oxygen of phosphate from the embryo appetite, from embryo bones, and also this oxygen isotope composition will be influenced by the temperature at which it will incubate. So this is the parameter we want to estimate. But first, we need to know what are fractionation between calcite and body fluids of the mother. And for this, we have collected some eggs of different archosaurs. Archosaurs because for phylogenetic bracketing of dinosaurs. So some birds having different various body mass and body temperature. So the Japanese quail, chicken, ducks, mallard ducks, Egyptian goose, ostrich, and some Nile crocodiles. So here you can see the range of body temperature. This sample comes from various parts of the world where we could get some eggs thanks to various collaboration. So in North America, South, and so on. And only 1 point for crocodilian because we studied these crocodilian eggs come from the crocodile farm situated in the Drôme and in Pierre-Latte, and which is collaborating with us for this kind of studies. So what we measured was eggshell calcite. We have measured the albumin and also yolk water oxygen isotope composition, but they are exactly the same. They have the same value. So we preferred to stick on the yolk because the water content is higher, so it's easier to have good values. And also, but I'm not showing this here, but we analyze also the drinking water of the chickens, of the birds. So using here in Lyon the multi-prep system, so which is connected in dwelling net mode to isoprime mass spectrometers. And so here is what we got. So this is here in the abscissa you have the body temperature of the studied animals, so in kelvins. And here on the ordinate you have the fractionation between calcite and body water or yolk albumen water, sorry, not yolk, albumen, egg white water. And as you can see, this is very interesting because here we have these two lines that correspond to the oxygen isotope fractionation of inorganic calcite. This is the equation of Kim and O'Neill 1997. And for invertebrate shell calcite, the equation of Anderson and Archer 1983. And our fractionation, calculated fractionation, are completely out of the range of this theoretical line, which can be explained by the fact that the eggshell precipitation is a very fast process, extremely fast, one of the fastest process of calcite production among living animals. And what we assume is that maybe the effect of temperature might be overprinted by some kinetic effects due to this fast precipitation. So we see here these different values, and we were wondering if there would be a relationship with body temperature. Actually, we tried to put a relationship. It's really poorly supported. You can see it. We have 2 points actually, one group here and one there. But we just keep it first because there is something I want to a test that I want to show you. Other things we tried is to see if there was a correlation with the body weight of animals, and here there is something more consistent. It's still not the best relationship, but we have a decent R square and a p-values. So there seems to be the fractionation, calcite water fractionation being controlled or maybe influenced by the body weight of animals. Let's keep this in mind. So, if we go back to our theoretical scheme, so we know the fractionation between eggshell and body water, which is albumen water, and the fact that it's also correlated, might be correlated with mother body weight. And so we measure the eggshell using this fractionation we have established from modern archosaurs. We get the delta rating values on mother fluids, which should be the same as the delta rating values of egg water, and we inject this into this the relationship. We measure the delta rating values of embryo, and then finally we should get the incubation temperature. This relationship is the well-known phosphate water temperature scales that was shown to you before, that works for all vertebrate invertebrate usually. And so this sample that we got, this eggs, come from south of China, the Jiangxi province, that were estimated to have been deposited in the paleo latitude of about 25 degrees north, so quite low paleo latitudes, and during the latest Cretaceous, most likely Maastrichtian. There is still discussion about the precise age. Here is situated on a paleo map. So we got 7 eggs with embryo inside. Here is a close-up of one of the eggs, and so we sampled the eggshell and some bones on the most coarse part of them. Just a few considerations before jumping into the interpretation about eggshell mineralization. So because it mineralizes within a few hours to a few days, so very, very quickly, maybe we could expect some heterogeneity within eggs. And also because during incubation, there is a partial dissolution of the shell due to the use of calcium for embryo growth. We could wonder if this dissolution could also affect the oxygen isotope composition of the eggshell. And for this, Moer and a collaborator in 2011 did this work on modern birds, on the black-headed gull. And what they found, here you can see the delta rating values. This is what we are interested in, on various parts of individual eggs. So each number represents one individual egg, and you see that variability is very low, less than 1 per million. So this means that we can sample almost anywhere on the eggshell. This is not a problem. And about the possible change in oxygen isotope composition during egg incubation, it was also tested here. So at different stage of embryo development, and you can see here the delta rating values doesn't significantly change. So we could analyze any eggshell at any stage, and we could get a decent value of the mother body fluids, I mean the egg yolk oxygen isotope composition. Are you still following me? Sorry. So here is just a little bit of techniques. So what we analyzed is specifically the oxygen isotope composition of phosphate using the method, the silver phosphate method. So it's a wet chemistry procedure including acid dissolution and precipitation of silver phosphate that gets us also oxygen on only this one phase. And after, so we use this device, BioPyroCube, with a high temperature pyrolyzer to pyrolyze the sample of silver phosphate along with pure graphite into silver capsules, and that we get the oxygen isotope composition. Here is the result we get. In abscissa, you get the delta rating values of embryo-bound phosphate here, and on the abscissa for each point, you have the corresponding oxygen isotope composition value of eggshell carbonate. So that's a bit. That was not exactly what I was expecting. I was hoping that every values would align on one straight line. So we have at least 2 directions, maybe more. So what is causing this? So we don't know. Just right now, I have no explanation. But I tried first to go on with interpretation. So first, what value of fractionation should I use to estimate the delta rating values of egg fluids? So based on the body temperature of Oviraptorosaur, so we have two hypotheses. The hypothesis that Rob just talked before, with Oviraptorosaur having a body temperature of about 32 degrees, and another hypothesis that was proposed for a global hypothesis for dinosaur groups more closely related to body temperature of mammals. Here it's about 36 to 38 degrees. And as you can see here, from the slope, very flat slope, we are still within the 29 to 30 per mil of fractionation. So this is what we get at the end. Here you have the oxygen isotope composition of egg water estimated using this fractionation. Here in blue, the estimate using an Oviraptorosaur at 32 degrees of body temperature, and in orange, Oviraptorosaur estimated at 35, 36 degrees of body temperature. And this line corresponds at different temperature to the phosphate water temperature scale of Lecuy et al. 2013. And for 3 samples, we get some estimated temperature within the expected range of brooding animals. So something between 35 to 41 degrees. This one is maybe a bit overestimated, but within something that exists. this group of value are completely out of range. The temperature, the derived temperature would be about 50, 60 degrees, so which is totally out of range. Let's keep this in mind, and let's try with the better correlation. So we also tried to use body mass of oviraptorosaurs. In this Nanchong formation of south of China, there is a lot of oviraptorosaur species described, about 6, and for 3 of them we could get some usable bones to estimate body temperature using this kind of relationship between the femoral length and body mass. And using this kind of estimation, we get some estimate of body temperature. So between 27 for the small Dongtianlong limosus here to about 80, 90 kilogram from the biggest Nankongia jiangxiensis. And so using these estimates, okay, here you can see this, the difference between the smaller one and the bigger one. We still are within this 29-30 per mil of fractionation, so about the same. So what you expect is that we get something quite similar about on incubation temperature, something between 35, 33, 37 degrees. So that doesn't answer the question: what is the problem with this with these four values? So the first thing we could see is how about preservation, primary preservation. So what we did, we looked at the eggshell microstructure. So there seems to have preserved the original calcitic structure. Here you can see the radial tabular structure of the first layer, the squamatic structure that can be also seen here. So from this, we didn't see any sign of recrystallization, and it was also the same for the preservation of bone. With here you can see it was just published this year about this specimen by Wang Shuo. There is some, you can see here the fibrolamellar structure of this bone that also show no sign of extensive recrystallization. So, what could be the reason for this difference between these two groups of points? This is something I'm thinking about, and this has to be tested. These 7 embryos, 7 eggs, show different stages of embryo development. Some of them being quite mature. You can see here it's occupied almost all the space of the egg. Some other just maybe on an earlier stage. So maybe because I don't have the answer yet, maybe there is the problem of embryo development. The oxygen-isotope composition of this early stage of embryo development are controlled. They are controlled by more kinetic effect, and the equilibrium is not achieved yet. And as far when the embryo gets maturation, then it reaches finally the isotopic equilibrium and get the final temperature. So this is something I was thinking about, and this seems to be backed up by this first analysis of eggs with very developed embryo being within this expected range, and these embryos that are very small inside the eggs being completely out of range. This is where I am. So I'm very open to any suggestion and any discussion about this. And so I will conclude that I think that the combined analysis of eggshell carbonate and embryo phosphate may be a possible tool to estimate incubation temperature in oviparous vertebrates. But we have some problems to overcome. First, we need a good assessment of isotopic preservation. And secondly, we have to investigate the precipitation kinetics and maturation stage of embryo bonds. And for this, we are starting to do some box modeling, and we expect that we could get some interesting insight into how oxygen isotope composition of phosphate will change over during the maturation process of embryo development. So thank you very much, and I'm waiting for any comment or a question.